I'd like to call to order the Phillipsburg City Council meeting for January 7th, 2019. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Have any public comment tonight? All right. Okay, we're going to go right into the AMI presentation. We have Kyle Unruh. It's not on your agenda, but it's on the one online. It just didn't get republished. So Kyle's going to go over the AMI meter presentation.
I'm going to pass out the information we sent out to you guys a couple months ago. Has all of the information on these meters as far as what they would cost, what the payback period would be. I didn't figure everybody would remember to bring theirs, so I figured I'd go ahead and give you another copy of them.
Well, thank you for your time. I'm Kyle with Core and Main. We are the distributor and sales representative for census metering systems, which your city has been using some census meters for quite a history now. And what we're going to talk about tonight is the metering technology that's available out there, over-the-air AMI system that has been discussed over several years now with the city of Phillipsburg. Okay, Core and Main is the authorized census distributor for water and electric products in 17 states. This is a little bit about our company. We have 265 branches in 43 states, 3 Kansas locations, McPherson, Wichita, and Olathe, 3 AMI product specialists, meter specialists that's their sole duty within the state of Kansas. There are 650 census deployments by our company and 650 by census plus, and that's over 700 now since I believe I made this slide, 200 by our company deployed by it. And we have a dedicated AMI National Metering Group, which that's their sole purpose with our company, which is part of our product specialist group. Census has over 125 years in metering, 650 plus AMI deployments. AMI, you'll hear me use the term FlexNet. That's their coined term for it, where the meters are read over the air like from an antenna that would be put on your water tower, and no meter readers have to go out to gather that information. It also stores and records data for you, gives you leak alarms. 10,000 customers worldwide. Census is a global company. A lot of this is just telling you how big, and they've been around a long time. They're in Europe. I can't think of all the countries they're in that they do metering also. They are a company that makes the radios, the equipment, and they can meter every product out there where other companies use somebody's meter, somebody else's reading equipment. This is all census products: water, gas, and electric. Here's the key factor to payback in a system or revenue gain is the meter itself. The city's been putting these in as they need meters for, I want to say, since 2010, 2011, a few every year. You have approximately, the last I looked at my system, about 250 of these deployed. What's special about these is the low flow results that they get, 0.003 of a gallon per minute. You couldn't pour that out of a glass that slow, and it'll catch that movement. So ultimately a drip. 20-year new meter accuracy, no moving parts, lead-free, alarm recording, it data logs itself. I believe I've data logged some for the city. this system will data log it also. The key to the iPearl is it's the straight line across the top at 100%. And what we're looking at here is the flow rates. You see the red one that curves up and drops down, that's a new positive displacement meter or a new meter of different brands and styles, including Census positive displacement. And then the one down below that looks really bad, that's a meter that's typical getting of age. What you see is most meters will do you pretty good at a high flow rate, but they lose it at a low flow rate. And so houses that have a lot of leaks in them, that's where you lose a lot of water and potentially a lot of revenue over a year's time. The iPearl has alarms within it that will tell you empty pipe, reverse flow, tamper. If you want to know why that might be there, for example, I want to fill my new swimming pool and I'm pretty savvy and I go out and I take the meter out and I switch it around, run it backwards for a while and then switch it back. It has an alarm that tells me I went empty, somebody shut me off, I ran backwards this many gallons, then I was shut off and went empty again, went forward. It's for theft and things like that. Also tells you if somebody's will help you determine if somebody's cross-connected with a well, where they might be, intentionally, unintentionally using their water well on their house at the same time they're using this, but it creates a health hazard. You're talking about untreated water going into your system, so it catches the backflow that's out there. I want to hit on one thing here, the accuracy and the 100% accuracy guarantee is a 20-year guarantee. If the meter isn't working accurately, it gets replaced with a new meter with a new 20 years on it. It's not prorated. This is a new animal. It's not in your quote. I just wanted to let you know it was out there. The Ally is the iPearl on steroids, 20-year accuracy. It does pressure monitoring, remote disconnect from City Hall. They could hit a button and shut somebody off. You can also limit the water flow if you wanted to leave some water on, not enough to use it excessively. It will pressure monitor your system, which would be helping you check water pressures out there in your mains. It also has temperature monitoring, and that's basically because it would be an expensive meter that you don't want to freeze. So it's going to send you an alarm if something like that was come along. It does its own valve exercising to make sure it doesn't get stuck. It picks. It's smart. It's just a technology, computer-based meter. The Omni is the commercial meter that the city uses. It's highly sought after by people using many brands because of its accuracy. It's all lead-free, it's ductile iron, 10-year accuracy and metering on the register itself to cover that. What it does for you is it takes a commercial meter and it lets you, the larger the meter gets, the less accurate it gets at a low flow. These meters are designed to also pick up the low flow, just like a small meter would. And then the key part of the radio read system, or the FlexNet, is the migratable two-way radio. And it's right there in the picture, hooked to that meter. Has a 20-year warranty, two-way communication. It is storing 7 days of information, and every hour sends 7 days of backlogged information into the system. The objective of that is, if the system for some reason went down, lost electricity, let's say it was catastrophic, you were off for 2 or 3 days, when it comes back up, you haven't lost one piece of data. It's just writing over itself all the time. Transmits at 2 watts of power. The big secret to this, well, it also adds more the capabilities that the iPearl had, it will take to your Omni meters, your large meter, because it will also help you detect leak detection, broken pipe, reverse flow. It is a full 20-year warranty.
20-year warranty on that, Kyle, that's not prorated at all?
The battery life is. The battery life, the only reason they do that is they have no control over who might sit at their controller and just ping for information constantly.
Right.
It's designed to last 24 years on FlexNet, getting read every hour, 365 days a year. The battery is prorated. It used to be 10 and 10. They've had enough success. They've just moved all their meters and the radios to 15 and 5. 15 meaning 100% replacement at a brand new warranty. And then the last 5 now is a prorate just on the battery. So if it's not transmitting or the meter's not working and it's not the battery, it's not dead, then it's still 100% guarantee on the product itself.
Right.
But the technology of batteries is is getting so good and working better all the time. These are your basic components of a FlexNet. Meters on the left, FlexNet, that tower represents the antenna. What we call the base station would be hooked on, in this particular case, on your water tower. That information then is through some sort of an internet backhaul sent to Collector, which is a server that Census actually hosts, and it is in Raleigh, North Carolina, and then they have a backup in Utah, Salt Lake City. So it's in the cloud, and the software that they'll be using here at City Hall and your guys will be using at the meter shop will just be a web-based connection, and it will all be secured. Everybody can have their own operating levels based on passwords. Highly secured system. The good thing about that too is if anything goes wrong with that server and updates happen, they've probably updated some of their servers and systems I have already 3 times this year. None of that's on you. That's all on them. Hardware gets damaged, that's on them. The other benefits of AMI are the advanced metering, which you will have with this proposal, leak detection you will have at the meters. There are acoustic leak detectors you can put on your water mains that it communicates through FlexNet. SCADA expansion, a lot of times it can operate with your current SCADA. You're just putting radio transmission to get it to your same software package. Backflow alarms and customer portal. If you ever decided that was in a high demand, the customers can, it's a different package, but they can go in and look at their own data.
Kyle?
Yeah.
When you said the remote shutoffs, you talked like this one that you were showing was something new. What was the ones you had before?
The iPearl that you're currently using, it's our bread and butter meter for high accuracy, but it doesn't have remote shutoff. That one that you just saw there is called the Ally. And
No. I mean, from here, what was it when we was down there talking before? What's that been, 3 years ago now, or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
You had one then that was just the same one?
the
you was talking-
prototype, same one.
Okay,
It wasn't released yet. It was in
Design.
testing.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's what I didn't
Yes.
understand, yeah.
They hadn't given it a name and they hadn't given you a picture of it at the
Okay.
time.
Okay.
The difference, or the great thing about our system is we have 2 watts of power on each and every radio. Most everybody else is 1 watt or less. 35 watts outbound power. The reason they can do that is, going to see if I have this on here. The primary use frequency. It is licensed. It is not shared with anybody. Census owns the frequency band. So it's entirely private. And it's just like, I'm the only one speaking now so you can hear me. If this was a classroom full of screaming kids, you wouldn't hear me. That's your typical RF, the screaming classroom. This is the way this operates. The reason it can reach so far, I can give you references. The distance is incredible, and it's because it can it can shut out all the other noise that's out there in the atmosphere.
What happens, I know I've read some things in the past about radio frequencies bothering people.
Mhm.
Where's this stand on that?
They can take them off because they own it. They find out who has got, and it has happened. Usually it's cellular companies jump on something, know what they're doing, use something for a short little area, starts interfering. Census will send out we've had it happen where they send out an RF engineer, find out where it's at, and they just virtually tell them to shut it off, and they know they have to because it's got a hefty fine. So it is their bandwidth. You would be assigned, for instance, other companies around you use this particular system, and so they are going to give you a channel, they call it a utility code within that bandwidth, so that you don't hear theirs and they don't hear yours. Very, very good control over it, though. This is ancient crop study, and the census did for the city of Phillipsburg. And what you're seeing right here is, you can't see it very well. In a nutshell, everything that's the little lines in the middle of the green, that's the city. Everything in the green is perfect RF reception. Everything in the blue and yellow is not as good, but it's going to reach. I believe that we checked into this, and we think it'll probably hit your well fields too for you. But when Census does the prop study, it basically is a guarantee that it's going to work. And if we put the system in and it doesn't, and you did everything, and every meter was on the prop study that they did, and you did everything, installation right, etc., that they will add whatever equipment it takes at their expense. So currently, the city, from the proposal that you have, I did some research, and I think I came up with, it's already old information. The city has put in approximately between iPearls and Omnis, you have 266 meters. So the list of needed meters is decreased. You'd still need radios for each of those. But so there's already an impact there just from things that you've changed by need and annual change outs.
Now looking at that, those look like a close dome that would probably fit on top of the meter can. So, and I'm thinking about lawnmowers and people running over them, because there is probably some areas in there still where they're in driveways and stuff that you'd run over them. What's the kind of the scenario?
Yeah, they cut it through the lid. There's people that have never hit one. I've seen a school lawnmower hit one 3 weeks in a row. And the reason they knew they hit it 3 weeks in a row is because the system was telling them we just went offline. Anyway, his lawnmower blade, I don't know how it was cutting grass, but so ultimately most people charge, or they might give them a forgiveness. Sometimes if you hit it and chop it, you damage the top of it, but you haven't hurt the radio. The radio's a sealed unit. It can be underwater. It can't be hurt until they get into it. So the potential is there, and there's also places where you probably wouldn't want it sticking up because of perhaps a sidewalk area, something like that, where a grader might get it. There's different things you can take for those special places where they make cast iron lids where you recess it. You don't have to change your whole town of lids, but there might be a dozen places where you need to put a different lid on to move that down, or use a composite lid, which it actually can go under it. There's also going to be those places where you just don't want it up there at all, and maybe it's a heavy traffic type lid in a driveway of a gas station or something. 9 times out of 10, it's going to hit through it. It's going to read through it. Just not as good. See, there's the thing again, is if it hits it once a day, if it hits it once every 3 days, and it needs to be under that lid, you're good, because you haven't lost any data. So every once in a while, you'll run across one that you need to experiment with.
Now, you made a comment about running a data log on some of them now. So that meter stores information now.
Yes, the meter is storing its own information and its own alarms. It will take those alarms and it will send them to the radio. The radio is also being programmed to do the same. So all that information comes back to the system. The nice thing about that, let's say that radio got damaged and you really wanted to know what information was on it, everything's modular. You got a backup, you can get your data off of the meter.
So actually, all 266 of the meters that's been put in right now has got data stored.
Has data log storage, yes.
Okay. Without radio, because radio is just
It doesn't have
transmitting.
radio, it just has that.
Yeah, it just transmits the radio. That's all it's doing.
And you are limited because what's happening in the meter is it is writing over itself and it's storing only 30 days.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So you get outside of a window and somebody wants information, boy, if they see they don't like their bill quickly, you can probably get all their information and find out when they used it. If that time span of sending out the bill, et cetera, takes 2 or 3 weeks, you've missed an opportunity because you're into a new time frame. If they had a one-time occurrence type of deal.
Now, how much more expensive is the, for better term, the turn on, turn off meters?
Oh,
that
the
you can do
Alarm?
here? Yeah. Because I know before we talked that it's just like in some high rental situations where people are moving in, moving out, and you're constantly dealing with it, or those people that don't pay their bill all the time, and you gotta go turn them off and then turn them back on. It was locations like that we talked about before of maybe putting those type of meters in those type of locations.
It's about 4 times as much. You take a typical,
About $500 in.
yeah, same situation happens with like gas and electric. That meter costs more if the purpose is there. It should be used. I know of a town, it wasn't mine, that they wanted to do the whole town with those. And they finally backed off, but they were in a situation where they did almost half the town with remote disconnect. And figured it was worth the value, so those places do exist. One of the values I see in this is even 1 or 2 if you wanted to try them. Tim's house, but is the fact that
But who would have control of that at that point? If we tried it, if we tried it at Tim's house,
We
we would
could-
have control.
we could set up some passwords. But for instance, you might just use one to move around here and there if somebody said, hey, I have pressure issues, and you're saying, well, maybe there is something to that. And you can just move it for a pressure monitor.
That's cool, yeah.
You know.
Where it does that too, yeah.
I'm just not sure your cost would outweigh your benefit to.
Well, yeah.
to me.
I mean,
I
we've
think-
talked about that in the past about those because of the shut-off and the frequency of some of the locations. That was the only reason I was
I
asking.
think
To
you'd
me,
be
I
better
think-
off to increase your shut-off fee
Then to put the meter in.
instead of putting the expensive meter in.
Okay. That would make sense.
I have more people interested in that. I have a couple towns interested in it for the reason of the shut-off. I have more people interested in that meter currently because of the pressure monitor. That they want to get like 5 or 6 of them and just put them at each end of town, just so that they can watch the water pressures at different times of day.
Now, does the gas company use the same system?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't know what system that they used.
No, it's census.
Okay.
Kyle, we were Tim and I was kind of leaning towards having contractors do the installation. Who inspects the contractors then?
We would take care of that.
And I see it, in here it says training, AMI, FlexNet core training, and then census analytic training. I'm assuming the core training is the field, and then the analytics is the software inside?
We'll take care of the training in the field for all of the people at Phillipsburg, some of the meter specialists and myself.
Okay,
It's not as complicated, so I can handle it. But the core training, what that's referring to is the FlexNet system itself. That would be any users that you have, Kent and maybe some of the guys that do some of the water work, all of the people in the office in here, and at different levels, whether they're doing the billing or just information for the system. Analytics is the software that, in my words, moves the billing software. It's the bridge between the billing software and the census system. And that would be a training that would be mostly for your billing clerks, but I've seen guys in the field use it with a tablet and stuff so that they can be out there and just...
and that is done by who?
That's done by census hired personnel and
Okay.
our company,
Okay,
our meter specialists. Probably at 2 different dates.
okay.
I see where the integration into the billing software is on us. Do you have any billing systems out there that work better than others with it?
I have yet to see one not work. Even, I did have an experience where it was the first one, and there just really wasn't an issue. They get together with you and the billing software company and figure out how to make what they call the VFlex file, which is an import-export file. You might have to add fields into your billing software, fields as in it needs more additional information in there. That's for the benefit of the analytics and the software. Addresses, you can add pictures, latitude and longitude, everything will be Latin long that goes in out there. The system will be able to map it for you. You know, meters like that disappear in grass over time if you haven't had to lift that lid each month. And so that becomes very important. And you take those, take that little bit of information over to Google Earth, and I mean, it's like magic. Oh, it's right there beside that tree. But, you know, as you would get new personnel or something along the line, the advantage of that is they wouldn't have never walked the path. They didn't know where that meter was, but you can pinpoint it for them, even in the leaves and the snow, so.
Kyle, can you get us a list of references who
Yes.
has this system, some as close as you can get them?
Yes. Yes.
And you can email that to Tim if you want.
Sure.
One of the things we need to take into consideration, if we do replace our billing software, which is
Yeah.
kind of, we don't want to integrate into here and then have to redo the integration, so.
Yeah.
Taking one step at a time and do it one time would be one of the.
Are you considering a move? Yeah, you would definitely want to time that, I think.
Yes, no doubt.
They're gonna make it work no matter
Oh, I
what.
know,
They're gonna make the magic happen, but it's still, you won't be relearning anything at that point.
Even with that, is there recommendations that you or they would have?
Around billing software.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if you know that some that work better with the V file.
I can look into that.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions for? No? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Tiffany, you want to put that on the agenda for next meeting? And you might put on there that, have the finance committee look for funding possibility.
So I think we need to tie that into when you get your year end stuff done, where we're at. financially than Mike and
Thanks, Kyle.
Brett and I together. All right, all right. Let's go ahead and look at the reading and approval of the December 17th, 2018 minutes in your packet.
I make a motion we approve the December 17th minutes as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, appropriation ordinance number 1055-12-18B. I did notice in the B&B one, the sidewalk one, was that the 296? Was that for the chain one?
Should be.
So it wasn't 400, it was actually 296. And it was 3 yards of sidewalk, I think it's 256.
That's ours.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what's on the second.
Oh, Southwest Second, okay.
Wasn't there more than that on B&B? I looked back through the reports right quick. Wasn't there something else?
Yeah, there was some yards of pavement, 1 yard high early, whatever that means.
There was 8-sack mix it
Oh.
clears out in 24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, there was 2 of them there, the ADA concrete and then the curb and gutter, which was about $9,600.
That would be the Presbyterian Church.
I was wondering if that was what it was. And through municipal supply, was that for water line replacement stuff?
That is, it has several items in there. The bulk of the items was $15,200 and some changes for the Park Street project. That's
Oh,
all the
okay.
materials for that
Yeah.
project.
And the Canapé truck equipment?
That is a cost of replacing the chain of the spreader on the international truck. That spreader chain over years it got worn
Oh,
and
okay.
it came to the part where it was no longer salvageable.
The only other question I got was, what was the, and I know it said park boundary for the $1,000, what?
That is a survey done of our park to assist with the Fort Bissell expansion. They needed to know where the boundaries of that particular I guess business, for lack of a better word. There's never been an agreement in place with Fort Bissell that distinguishes what their
Usages?
yes. My understanding is there was a handshake agreement with people who are no longer here,
Imagine that.
and they're wanting to do an expansion to bring a church into town. And so we was trying to distinguish where those boundaries would be set at. So with the help of the park committee, we decided this is kind of the perimeters where it would be, so we went ahead and stuck out pins and stuff so that it could be set in a permanent agreement with the Fort Bissell.
Cool, okay. That's all I had.
Do I have a motion?
I so moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Before we get into the roundtable discussion, I want to first of all express our condolences for the loss of your mother.
Thank you.
Mike. It's never a good time. And then I also want to go over and commend the council on a great 2018. I think you guys did an outstanding job. I want to go over some of your accomplishments so you feel good about all the work that you got done. First of all, the transparency you provided by passing the videoing of these meetings, I think proven that you want to be transparent. You've activated the committees, and done an outstanding job of meeting. I think we slowed a little bit down at the last part of 2018, but I bet that picks up here shortly. Changing our financial system, our finance committee did that, tracking true operational costs by department and facility. That was quite an undertaking. I know Brenda worked hard on that. Developing a 5-year capital improvement plan. A lot of work was done on that. Getting the half-cent sales tax approved for the city infrastructure going forward. The work that was done in getting the LMI survey to qualify for CDBG grants, which we should hear back Thursday, hopefully, whether we qualify or not. Getting the Quans Reservoir submitted for funding. 2 major water line projects. Several water valves, repaired downtown curbs, renovated the airport building, installed LED lighting at the library, the crack seal project, establishing the EDAB, Economic Development Advisory Board, and beginning developing that vision. All good things. Did I leave anything out?
That I can think of.
I think Tiffany's done a good job of picking up the ball and running with it.
Agree.
We commend all of our staff, all of our city staff for an outstanding 2018. I appreciate your efforts. Looking forward in 19, we're going to focus on eliminating paper. We got a lot of paper that's shuffled in this office. We're going to look at eliminating some of that. We're going to implement a records management system, which we can get rid of some of the files that we have. Analyzing all of our costs and services that we're providing and making sure that we're doing it at the right price. And then the reason I'm bringing that up is we're going to lose about $40,000 worth of sales tax from Shopko. And we need to tighten the belt a little bit. So anyway, thank you. Mike, you're up.
Probably the only thing I got is Senator Moran was in town the other day, and I expressed my attitude of what I thought of their funding procedures. And he didn't have too much to say. But other than that, that's what I thought. You know, the opportunity's here. I'm gonna bring it up because, you know, it's like was said, they hit money for the biggest bang, and I said that kind of leaves us all out here in the cold because, you know, it's a major issue to us, just like in the larger areas it is to them. Proportional, it's the same.
Right.
But I expressed the opinion. So
All right, Terry.
We covered about everything on my list here, I think. On the committees, I would like to get back to, and get some time set for the ones that I'm on anyway.
Okay.
I don't know about the other ones, but get a day and a date and a time and get back onto that a little bit more. I don't know, and I visited with Tim a little bit about being better informed. There was an issue here, I think, at the last meeting that, you know, with that committee, they knew what was going on, but I kind of went in there and I didn't know anything about it. So some of that, you know, if we could be a little more informed, if we work on that for the next meeting or whatever it takes.
Okay.
Sidewalk
Is this on the facility?
on the sidewalk over there.
Oh.
I didn't know it was, you know.
Yeah, we did drop the ball on that.
Well, and you know, it's just,
Yeah,
you know, just
we-
be better informed.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the only thing I had.
Okay. Brett?
I don't have anything, Lance.
Pete?
I'm just saying all that Brett didn't have anything.
He's got somebody's got kickoff here in a few minutes. You know, okay. Lynette?
I just had a question for you on the scholarship that we were gonna do for the high school students. You know, you're giving your money as mayor to that and some of the other council.
Okay, so when that's set up, we set that up with the Phillips County Community Foundation. I set up a thing on scholarship. I think you're on the committee and I'm on it and somebody else. Pete, I think you're on it. But whoever's all donating the money or partial money or whatever. We're trying to build it up before we actually award somebody. So I'll get with Morris and find out how much we have in there.
I just wondered where we stood on that.
No,
What the-
it's
what the
there,
plan was for
and
it.
more suggested that we keep building it up a little bit more before we actually start doling it out, so,
Sounds like a plan.
okay, great, appreciate the question. Hmm?
It's $1 million by now.
Yeah, right. Michael? Nothing? Scott?
Nothing to report this evening other than Tigers versus Tide.
Okay, so I don't have anything really to talk about other than next meeting. I'd like to, I'm gonna look at the council committees. If any of you want to be moved around a little bit, just let me know. I'm gonna look at them. I've got my appointments for next year I need to make on all of our boards. And then we're gonna kind of go for like starting a new year as far as, we'll do a council president thing. If you want to keep it the same, that's fine. Tim's evaluation will be next meeting. I'll be passing those out this week. Tiffany's oath will be next meeting, so be prepared for that. And then I want to talk about, really the only thing I have to talk about tonight is the core request fees. So when we get a request for open records, it takes away focus of the person that's working that has to go address it. We now charge per sheet, you know, what is it, 25 cents a sheet? But we don't get anything for manpower time to do that. And most of them charge a minimum of, I don't know, 20, what did you find out?
I haven't gotten all the information yet.
A lot of them are like $25 to $50 for, we get a monthly request from this company that solicits our information on where we spend our monies. And it's kind of brought to my attention that, you know, we have to respond to it within 3 days.
It's not a local company?
No, this is a software.
It's on the East Coast.
It's on the East Coast. It's a
Virginia
software
or
company.
something.
And they're doing it for business reasons. They want to collect all this information and then sell it back to you. Okay? But we don't charge them anything. It takes her time out.
Right.
Even though we're
Right.
not doing it by hand or printing off any sheets,
Still takes time.
it still takes time to run the reports, run the files, send it to them and all that kind of stuff. So
Is there anything under statute that says what we can or can't do?
we need to look at that. I just know that even some of the people, some of the businesses, organizations around here charge, I think PCD charges $25 or $50 minimum on a request or something like that for the manpower that it takes to address these. So anyway, well, I'll look into that though.
I mean, I don't know whether statute says that we have the ability to charge what we want, or is there a
Yeah.
limit, or, you know?
Reasonable is the word.
Reasonable is the word. Reasonable. Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, then, yeah, we should be charging for manpower.
I would say at least $25 minimum.
I would go farther than that,
I'd go 50.
I'd go 50 myself, but
Okay. It just takes the focus away from, if they're working on something, they say they're doing billing and all of a sudden they get assigned this. It takes your focus away from what you're doing. You gotta go do that, then you gotta get refocused to where you're at. And it's a minimum probably 30 minutes to an hour of focus time. And we've never taken that into consideration. We've taken a quarter per sheet that we hand them,
Which is nothing.
which is nothing. Not when you take into printer costs.
Yeah.
well, and if we have
Eight.
3 days to respond, and depends on how detailed it is, it could take a little bit too.
This group wants it digitally, don't they?
That group wants it digitally.
They don't even charge, they don't get a paper cost because they.
No, they don't get any cost because we send it to them electronically. So they're at full benefit, and then we called them and said, hey, since we're providing this, can we get information from you? And they said, yeah, for $5,000 a year, is a year?
$50 is nothing.
$5,000 a year, we'll sell you back the information. And-
Ooh.
Yeah.
One word sheet, send it to them with a bill for several $1,000s.
So if I can hear, if you wanted to do it, I need a motion and a passage of a fee for that we have to put out and we can publish.
I'd make a motion to do $50 an hour plus $25 a page.
25
Oh,
cents.
25 cents.
Yeah.
I said no. Excuse me.
Okay, I got a motion at $50
I'll second that, and then
and
quarter
25
sheet.
cents. Okay.
Quarter sheet.
Quarter
Is that
sheet.
just paper
Got a
sheet
second,
or
all in
what?
favor?
Sheet.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay, we'll get that out. Motion passes. That's all I had. Tim?
Okay, tomorrow, Kent Booth will be attending a training in Waukegan. It's a kids' school water training. This kind of breaks down on how you fund future projects. There was not a cost for it, so I thought it'd be something good that you could go and listen. Project-wise, waterline projects have been kind of quiet the last couple of weeks due to snow removal and multiple water leaks. We had one on Christmas Day at 2nd and State. We had one New Year's Eve at Walnut and Cable. And then we had one on Friday in front of Ross Seed. These water leaks are probably just the beginning. With the cold weather like it's been and the pretty large drastic changes in temperature, you're probably going to see this pattern continue. So we'll keep putting them back together and repairing things, but you'll probably see some progress in some other areas, kind of slow a bit. Today was the first day in a little over a week we've been able to get back out to Park Street and start working on the water line again. So I estimate about another 10 days worth of work out there, and we ought to be wrapping that up if Mother Nature decides to behave himself. We are working on getting the Christmas lights down. Tomorrow we'll take the angels down off the courthouse, and later this week, holidays will be to take the rest of Christmas lights down for the season. So they will all be taken down, put away, and back to normal. The sidewalk policy, I believe everybody has a copy of it. This policy has been vetted through the street department, or the street committee, and we feel that it's pretty thorough. Facility lease, the American Legion lease has been signed by both parties, and we'll be in the process of getting them keys over the next week or two, and they will move in February 1st. The Wellness Center, I'll be meeting with them tomorrow to go over some questions and some concerns on their lease before they sign it. And I guess one last thing I have before that is committee meetings. Terry and I talked about this a little bit last week, and he has asked that maybe it'd be best for scheduling purposes for you guys if we had standing meetings. Say, I'll just use the facility every other Friday at noon, a facility meeting, and then keep them on the standing days. Does that type of stuff work for you? Would that be more effective than trying to wrestle a schedule around and send a notice out that says, okay, I'd like to have a finance meeting, what days can you work, or have one set up where every other week you have a meeting, and if there's nothing to discuss, you just cancel the meeting beforehand. Is that something that would interest you guys, or would you prefer to keep it as we have now?
My comment on that is, try it. If it don't work, we'll do something different.
Right.
Okay. We will set some stuff up here the next week. I'll be sending emails out to you so you can get your feels on where you like.
I would recommend that you do them on off weeks of, so
Yeah.
if we gotta get something ready for the next council meeting.
Right.
So do them on the off weeks. If you can.
Every facility will be able to meet within the 2 weeks before the council meeting, so there'll be nobody pushed for that next meeting. The intent is to try to get more information to you so that you feel like you're more engaged with what's going on. Last thing I have is the Planning Commission will meet next Wednesday night. Mr. Riggs will be up here. He has our revisions for the zoning ordinance. So the planning commission will be reviewing and listening to his presentation. This will be the first draft that we'll have, and I'm sure we'll have some more comments that goes back in with that, but hopefully by the end of February, we'll have that ready for the council's full vote. That is all I have, unless you have questions for me.
I do have one. I know you changed the transportation dispatch.
Will be.
How's that working?
We have not yet.
Okay.
It was scheduled to do the 15th. With the reimbursement requirements with the state, we have decided to push that back to the 1st of February. That
Okay.
makes it
So it's
a
a
clean
clean
break
cut.
there, so there's no half-month distribution.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
So I think the girls are going to start on Monday, going up there in the morning and cross-training with the county officials up there so that they have a good feel for what they're getting into.
Good.
So I think it'll be a pretty seamless transition.
Good.
Tim, what were the issues with the big Christmas, or the tree with all the lights that they quit working? Is that something we need to buy new lights
I don't have a
for?
real good answer to that. We found them unplugged. Breakers were tripped. It was a scavenger hunt this year. It seems like every time we turned around, there was something else that come unplugged. It was different this year. We had a lot more wind this year. That could have been part of the problem with some of the plugs. Every 4 strands of lights going up and down is connected with another plug into another strand. We haven't had problems with these in the past. This year, they'd be pulled apart and separated by 6-8 feet. So we don't know if it was the wind or whether somebody was enjoying us chasing lights or what it was. But towards the end, we ended up taping all of the cords together so that they could not be pulled apart. We did have a little bit of a breaker issue at the very end. So other than that, just bad luck, I think.
Gremlins.
Pardon?
Gremlins.
So I did remember one thing that when that did ask me earlier today, just so you're aware, the airport did have some people around it this weekend. They were not noticed by staff. I guess there was some individuals that were messing around with some of the planes, from what I understand.
Yeah, there's some tarps that were taken off and some cow things removed.
No damage was done to anything. It
Beer
just
cans
more-
were found in the bottom of an airplane.
So it was reported to the sheriff's office, so they are handling it. That's all I have for you.
We might think about putting a camera somewhere out there. That is a federal offense, by the way,
Yeah, that's big time.
so. Okay. Tiffany, just to let you know, on the finance committee, you'll be the one that needs to set up a schedule for that one.
I just have a couple of trainings that I'd like to ask permission to go to, put on by the league. There's one February 22nd called Municipal Finance in Emporia, one April 5th called City Clerk Fundamentals in Garnett, and maybe one called Advanced Municipal Finance in Ottawa in May. If you'd like me to go attend those.
We would love you to go.
Okay. And then also I will be gone the 10th through the 15th this month. I'm going to Texas for the bowl game, so excited about that, for Traylon to play. And then also the 29th, I'm taking him to a college visit, so I'll be gone a couple days.
What's the name of that bowl?
Blue-gray American.
Blue-gray American Bowl. Is it televised, do you know?
ESPN 3
ESPN3 will have it. Good.
on Monday the 14th at 1:30.
Okay. I do get ESPN 3
Nice.
at 1:30?
Mhm.
Okay. I'll see. Anything else? Okay, you got your CD documents in there. You see that we got over $3 million worth of CDs, 3.081. And we've been doing a good job of managing that and making sure we're getting the right rate. Anything else?
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. 5 minutes for kickoff.
Yep.